Hello everyone, welcome to our Comments and Answers TJ channel. I hope you're all doing well. In this video, we're going to prepare for the Enjoy Life book study. This week, we'll be studying Chapter 8, paragraphs 5 to 12. So, let's begin. We start with the subtitle, Why Are You Persecuting Me? Questions 5 and 6. What does Jesus' question to Saul teach us? Jesus' question to Saul also teaches us that, even if suffering persists and is not immediately resolved, both Jesus and Jehovah are aware of the situation and provide strength and support. This teaching urges us to trust in Jehovah even in the midst of trials, knowing that He is present and sustains us. Through it, we can see that if a servant of Jehovah is facing opposition for their faith, they can be assured that both Jesus and Jehovah are fully aware of the situation. This is reflected in Jesus' words in Matthew 10 verse 22 and 28 to 31, where it is assured that faithful ones face difficulties but are also promised care and divine protection. Jesus didn't ask Saul, "Why are you persecuting my disciples?" but rather, "Why are you persecuting me?" This shows that Jesus intimately identifies with His followers, to the point of considering their suffering as His own. It highlights the unity and deep love Jesus has for His followers, showing that they are not alone in their trials and tribulations. This question also teaches us that if we are suffering opposition for our faith, both Jesus and Jehovah are aware of our situation. Although the trial may not disappear immediately, we must trust that God is with us and will give us the necessary strength to persevere and remain faithful amidst difficulties. The example of how Jesus did not intervene when Saul was persecuting the disciples shows that suffering may persist, but God will always provide the necessary support and strength to face it bravely and faithfully, and He will intervene at the right moment. Question 7. What needs to be done to endure persecution faithfully? To endure persecution faithfully, it is crucial to maintain an unwavering determination to remain loyal to Jehovah in any circumstance. Additionally, it is essential to resort to prayer for help and divine strength, as mentioned in Philippians 4 verses 6 to 7. Likewise, it is essential to renounce the desire for revenge and leave it in Jehovah's hands, trusting that Jehovah will provide the necessary strength to overcome trials. Being determined to be loyal to Jehovah, regardless of the circumstances, implies standing firm in faith and committed to God's principles and teachings. Asking for help in prayer. Constant communication with God through prayer can provide comfort, strength, and guidance in times of persecution and difficulty. Leaving vengeance in Jehovah's hands. Instead of seeking revenge for injustices suffered, trust that God is just and will know how to bring justice in due time. Trusting that God will give strength to endure the trial until it is overcome. This implies believing in God's power to strengthen and sustain His followers in times of persecution. Let's move on to the next subtitle, Saul, Brother, the Lord has sent me. Questions 8 and 9. How must Ananias have felt upon learning of his mission? Ananias must have felt surprised and honored upon learning of his mission, being approached by the resurrected Jesus himself to carry out a special task. He probably also experienced concern due to the responsibility and risk involved, considering Saul's reputation and authority to persecute Jesus' followers. Upon learning of his mission to speak to Saul, Ananias undoubtedly experienced a range of emotions. On one hand, being chosen by the resurrected Jesus himself to carry out a special and crucial task must have filled him with a deep sense of honor and privilege. However, at the same time, the prospect of confronting someone like Saul, known for his persecution of Jesus' followers in Jerusalem, must have generated fear and concern. As a disciple of Jesus, Ananias likely felt overwhelmed by the responsibility and challenge this mission entailed. However, his obedience and trust in Jesus led him to fulfill the assigned task. This situation teaches us that, although we may face fears and doubts in difficult situations, trust in Jesus and obedience to his instructions will enable us to overcome obstacles and faithfully fulfill our mission. Question 10. What does the way Jesus treated Ananias tell us about Jesus? Jesus showed understanding and patience towards Ananias by clearly explaining the purpose of his mission. This demonstrates Jesus' empathy towards the doubts and fears of his followers while providing the necessary guidance to fulfill his will. The way Jesus treated Ananias reveals his compassion, patience, and care for his followers. Despite Ananias' expressed concerns, Jesus did not scold or reject him but gave him clear instructions and showed him his divine plan regarding Saul. Jesus demonstrated understanding towards Ananias' emotions and doubts by explaining the purpose behind the assigned mission and offering the necessary context for him to understand the importance of his task. The way Jesus treated Ananias also shows his confidence in him as his follower and his ability to carry out the assigned task. Jesus trusted Ananias' obedience and provided the necessary support for him to successfully fulfill his mission. Questions 11 and 12. What do we learn from this account involving Jesus, Ananias, and Saul? We learn from the account that Jesus fulfills his promise to direct preaching through the governing body and the faithful who carry out this work. This shows us that the preaching work continues to be guided by Jesus, although he does not communicate directly with humans. Today, publishers and pioneers, under the direction of the governing body, seek those who claim to know more about Christ, just as the witnesses mentioned in this account did. This account offers valuable lessons about divine direction in preaching and the importance of obedience and willingness to fulfill the assigned mission. Jesus continues to guide preaching through the faithful and discreet slave, who coordinates this work on his behalf. Additionally, the account highlights the need to overcome our fears and anxieties to fulfill our duty of giving a complete testimony, even in challenging situations. Ananias' obedience despite his fears shows how trust in God leads to divine blessing. Finally, the story emphasizes the importance of treating others with love and consideration, even those who may seem like adversaries. Ananias demonstrated this by helping Saul, showing that everyone has the capacity to change and become brothers in the faith. Well, those have been practical answers regarding the congregation book study for this week. I hope it will be very helpful to my dear brothers and sisters. I send you a warm hug, and may Jehovah bless and protect you always.